Alright, so I wanted to make a video on different ways that you can zero your tool. There's lots of different ways that you can do it, but I want to start off by going over some of the simpler methods on the X-Carve, and then some of the more complicated methods, I guess you can say, over on the bigger machine in the shop using the auto touch plate. First thing we're going to cover is the paper method on the X-Carve, and that's really to set the Z only. Of course, you can use it to set the other axis, but we're just going to cover the Z. And then we'll move over and start doing a feeler gauge method for all the axis. And also in the first video we will cover just a quick on the multimeter Z zeroing method. And then in a part 2 video we'll go over to the bigger machine and we'll do the auto touch plate Z only, and then auto touch plate all the axis. So stay tuned for the video and hope you enjoy. Alright everybody, so here's the method that I wanted to show you on using a piece of paper, or in this case a business card, to set the zero on your tool. It's a rather easy method, but it's not the most accurate, and so I don't use it very much. But I mean, it's not the most accurate for doing like pocket cuts where you need a certain depth, or you're changing tools and then you have to re-zero. If you don't get it just perfect, then you're gonna have a line in your design or something like that, and we don't ever want that. So, but I'm going to go ahead and show the method and how it works. It's pretty easy to do. First thing we need to do is we need to measure the stock, which in this case is the business card. So let's see, 0.015, so 15 thousandths, and we can record that, write that down, and save that for later. So first thing we can do is start moving. We'll move down 100 thousandths at a time. We'll place the business card under the bit and we'll move down until we get pretty close to the material, and then we'll go ahead and switch over to 10 thousandths and start moving down a little bit more. And as we're doing that, we're moving the business card back and forth until it just touches. Now I'm going to step it down even farther, down to 1,000th, so we can get really, really close. And you just want to feel some pressure on that business card and keep going down, keep moving it. It's going to move real slow because we're only going 1,000th at a time. So keep going. We're getting close. Okay, so now there's a drag. I don't know if you can see on camera, but it's starting to scratch it just a little bit. So now we're right at, there's a little bit of drag. Kind of compare it to how you use a feeler gauge if you've ever adjusted valves or anything like that on a car. So now that we have that set right there, we can pull that out and we can go over into easel and we can type in our step interval, and we want our step interval to be 0.015, 15 thousandths. So, and then we'll push the Z-axis down, and now we're zeroed, and you see the business card won't fit under there anymore, but we're right on the top of that material. What we did is we set it with the business card, and then we measured the business card, and then we lowered it. Once we took the business card out, then we lowered it down the exact thickness of the business card. And so now we have our zero set, and we can go ahead and easel, and we can confirm the material and thickness, material secure, whatever, bit size. Now we can confirm home position. And if you look in easel that we confirm the home position, we go to machine, Go to advanced. We can see that we're all zeroed out here on our work position. It's pretty close. It's showing 4 thousandths on the X and Y, 1,000th on the Z. The X carve, that's going to be all the good actually you're going to get. You're not going to get down to the thousandths range, so if we're off 1,000th, that's fine. So now, so we can see that, and we can move up to above our stock. Say we want to go 0.5 above our stock for our safe Z, and now we'll just go up above the stock, and we can start there. So hope that explained how to do. And mind you, did that a little bit wrong. When you set your zero using this method, then you'll push confirm home position, and then you'll push raise bit to go up above the stock. You won't do it manually like I just showed you. It'll do it all automatically for you. So all you need to do is you need to set your zero, measure your stock or your business card, and you'll be good to go. I hope that helped. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Alright, so bonus nachos material here, or coverage or whatever, on the paper setting method. If you want a little more accurate way of doing it, because what will happen is this: if you use a piece of paper, it has the ability to compress a little bit. It won't compress a whole lot. Not really an issue with the accuracy of a CNC router, but I mean, really, if you're looking for accuracy, this is not the best method anyways. But instead of using a business card, you can use a feeler gauge, and here is maybe it's a 18 thousandths feeler gauge. We can get that in the camera. Here you can see it. Okay, and we can put that under the tool, and that won't compress as much, and that's a little bit more accurate way than a business card, because you know that that's exactly 18 thousandths, and you don't have to rely on your Harbor Freight cheapy. They're actually pretty decent, but your little calipers there. So you could put a mic on this and make sure, you know, but if you buy high quality feeler gauges, it won't be an issue. So just some little extra content. Drop the camera there because my mount sucks, but that's another way to do it. We'll go over that more in the feeler gauge method for doing X, Y, and Z, and then also for finding the center of a box or something like that using feeler gauges. So here is another method of zeroing your workpiece if we want to find, for example, the corner of the workpiece right here, or we want to even find the center, the exact center of this workpiece. And I'm just using this clamp as a little, you know, little test piece. It has a rounded corner right here, so we can't exactly find the corner very accurately, but using this method we'll be able to find the corner. And what we use is a feeler gauge here, and this is going to be 18 thousandths. And also, I haven't figured out how to do this in easel. You know, for beginners, easel is okay and stuff, but I think, you know, you need to transition away from easel and start using other programs that are a little bit better. One little program that's pretty good for doing a CNC control is Universal G-Code Sender. It's pretty simple, and I've used it quite a bit. Of course, I don't use my X-Carve very much anymore. I use Mach 3 on my other bigger 4x8 machine, which we're going to be explaining some other methods on here pretty soon. But I can show you a little bit on here on what we're going to do, and hopefully it makes some sense. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our feeler gauge here, and we're going to find our 0 point on our x-axis right here. So we're going to want to jog down the machine a little bit to get us below the piece of material. So we'll be right there, and actually I'm going to move that down to put a 0 right there, and we're going to go up just a little bit, just so the bit's not scraping against the workpiece right there, my spoil board actually. So now we're going to jog over, and as we're moving the feeler gauge, you can see there, we're going to touch the bit to it just so it gets a little bit of pressure. So we're going to move it over until it just touches. Okay, so right there it just touched. So we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of math here, and that right there is a 0.25 inch bit. Okay, and the feeler gauge is 0.018, so 18 thousandths. So now this is a diameter of our tool, and we want the radius. So what's the radius? What's half of 0.025? And that is, if I can find a calculator here, should be 0.0625. So we'll just do it on screen though. So 0.25 divided by 2 equals 0.0625. So we got 0.0625 is our radius of that tool. So because we want to be on the center of the tool, we don't want to be on the outside of the tool. We're trying to find the center line of that tool. So now we can do our math, and our math would be 0.0625 plus 18 thousandths. So I'll do plus, and that gives us a 0.08, maybe 0.0805. So about 80 thousandths of movement there. So we know if we now move the machine, we do 0.0805, move the x-axis in that direction, then we know we're going to be butted up right against the material right here. So, and over here on our, we can reset our x-axis. So we reset, now that's our 0 point. And I don't know, it always says that it's, you know, not exactly 0, but it's pretty close for the accuracy of an X-carve and accuracy of a CNC router. That little 8 thousandths right there, it's going to be fine. That's one downside to Universal G-code sender. It just doesn't move accurately or set it accurately. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. So now we can go ahead and move away from that. Let's see, we move 1 inch, and we'll move in the positive direction. So now we move. So now let's move up and move over, and we'll go probe the y-axis. So okay. Oh, it's moving my camera. Okay. So now we can go down a little bit. 0.1. No. Okay, so now we have that in there. Let me zoom in a little bit, and you can see that now we're going to probe the y-axis and set that. So we're going to take our feeler gauge here again, and we are going to move it in the y direction. just until we start touching our feeler gauge. And we're not going to do 1/1000ths, we're going to do 10/1000ths at a time. And let's see, we'll move it back and forth until we just touch it. A little more. So if you can hear that little scratching noise, we're right on there minus the thickness of our feeler gauge. So now we can take that out, we can do more math, and same math here as before, but now over here on this side, and then we can zero it. So we'll go ahead and move in 0.0805 in the positive direction. So now we're right on the material, and we can zero our y-axis. Okay, so we're zeroed on there. We're going to go ahead and back off just a little bit, and then we're going to come over here and move to our X0 position. You can watch that DRO move down. And so see, we're 2 point, and those are in millimeters, mind you. So now we'll keep moving. Oh, went too much. Okay, so now we're a 0 in the X, and then now we'll 0 the Y. Alright, so now we're right on the corner of that piece of material in our X and Y location. And see how we did that? We didn't have to go right here and try to guess on the corner of anything. We just did it off of both sides in any position that you want to do. So now we can move the machine up just a little bit in the Z direction, and we'll come over here and move over on a flat spot on the top of our material. Okay, and we'll stick our feeler gauge under there, and we'll go down until we just touch the feeler gauge. See how we just touched the feeler gauge? Okay, so now we can remove the feeler gauge, and we can tell Universal G-code that we want to move down 18/1000ths of an inch in the Z direction. So now we move down, can't fit the feeler gauge in there, but now we're in our Z position. So we can go over here, reset Z axis, okay, and we can go ahead and move up our Z to a safe position above. Okay, and we can go ahead and tell it, since we had everything set to 0, we can tell it return to 0 and not. Okay, no matter where we put our mill at, after we have reset our 0, we can just push the return to 0 button and it'll go right back to where we set 0. So right there. And now it's always set. If we ever want to go back to 0, it's always set right there in that position. Alright, so now we want to go over a method of, say we want to find the center of this workpiece instead of just finding the corner of a workpiece. So now there's more math involved, and we're just gonna have to deal with that. But first thing that we need to do is we can go ahead and reset our 0, because we're gonna start completely over. So then we'll take keyboard movement off, and let's move this down to 10 thousandths, and we'll go ahead and we want to do our X first. So just like before, we'll lower the machine down and get over here and touch off on our feeler gauge. Okay, just so it touches. We're moving it back and forth, and now it touched right there. So that's actually, let's go 5 thousandths. A little bit too tight right there. Just so it touches. The X carve is kind of hard to get it right on there, because this whole thing, as you can see, it just moves around, and it's not very rigid. When I do this on my other big machine, it's super solid, and I've snapped off 1/2-inch end mills on that machine without it even thinking twice. So gotta pay attention a little bit, but I don't know, we'll get it close, and it'll explain the method. But you can see I can move that feeler gauge right there, and it's moving that bit all over the place. But anyways, okay, so we got that, and remember, this is our 18 thousandths feeler gauge. So we'll go ahead and subtract the radius of our end mill and the 18 thousandths, which then again is, let's open up the calculator here, and it's 0.0805. So about 80 thousandths diameter in there. Good to go. Okay. So we'll enter that into your universal whatever sender. Maybe. Okay. 0.08050, bunch of O's. Okay. And it automatically changes it to 81 thousandths, because that's just what Universal G-Code Sender does. So now we'll go ahead and move it over, and now we're right on our 0. So we'll go ahead and reset the x-axis. Okay. Now you ask, well, what if we wanted to find the center of this piece? Well, we measured the piece, the item, and we measured across the item and figured out, how far that is. So in this case, it is 4 inches 4.721 is the total width across this. So we need to divide that by 2. Okay, so we'll go back over to our calculator here, and type it in. So 4.721 divided by 2 equals is 2.3605, is half the distance from this edge right here to the center. So we need to go ahead and raise up the z-axis above our stock. Okay, and then we'll tell the Universal G-Code Sender to 2.3605. Okay, and we want to move that in the negative position. So now we've gone exactly center in that piece of material, all by using some math. We don't have to guess, oh my god, that looks sort of center. I don't know, we bought a CNC machine because we want accuracy. So, There you go. So we'll come back over here and we will reset the x-axis. So now we're reset right here in the center. So we can move away and we'll go back right back. So we'll do the same thing on the y-axis and measure again. So we'll come over here and get it jogged down to the proper position. Ooh. Let's take a 0 out of there so we can get this done sometime today. Okay. Okay, so then again, before, we want to put our feeler gauge in there. And we'll move this down to 5 thousandths. We'll move in the positive direction just until it touches. Okay, so it's touching right there. We'll do our math, which hasn't changed. So 0.0805. And we'll move right there, touch that corner. We'll reset the Y. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and move up above the material. And this one is 0.4709 is the total distance from here to here. So we're going to divide that by 2. 4.709 divided by 2 equals 2.3545. So we'll copy that. We'll paste that. Control V. Okay. And we'll move in the positive direction right to that corner. So now we can go ahead and reset our y-axis. And we've got now the center in both x and y. So now we'll come down, reset that to 0.1, and we'll do the z-axis just until it touches. And then we'll be done with it. So we'll move this 0.005 and we'll come down just until it touches it. Alright, so we're good there. Got a good little pressure. Okay, and then we'll take our feeler gauge out and we'll go down 18 thousandths and we'll be right on our material. We'll go ahead and reset the z-axis. Okay, then we'll move it to a safe area above the stock. And for giggles, we'll go ahead and move the axis around just so it shows we're going back to Z. Maybe we'll come over here, push return to 0. I don't like that it does the Z first. I'm not sure how to get that to change. If anybody knows how to get the Z-axis to go down to 0 last, let me know. Because then it tries to go down, but then it'll scrape across the material trying to get to X and Y Z0. But as you can see, we found the exact center of that part just using feeler gauge, and it's a lot more accurate way than just trying to eyeball things and get that to work. So I hope that helped you out trying to find the center of your part using a feeler gauge. It's just one method of many that I wanted to explain here, but using a little bit of math and you got a little pocket calculator or something like that, it will go a lot faster. But if you got any questions, let me know in the comments. So here's another kind of unique way to set the
the Z0. You could do this with X and Y also, but maybe for you electronic buffs, you'd like this a little more. It seems like a little more hassle than what it's worth, but it should be pretty accurate on a way to do it. But so basically, if you have a multimeter, you can zero your tool just by the ohm reading on it. So when it contacts the piece of metal on top of your stock, since wood's non-conductive but the metal will complete the circuit, it'll show up on the meter and you know when to stop. So one lead you want to go ahead and attach to the tool, and the other lead you want to attach to your feeler gauge here, or your piece of metal on top of your stock. And once those two make contact, it'll show on the multimeter, and you can subtract the thickness of your plate of metal and you'll be good to go. So over here in Universal G-code sender, we'll go ahead and we'll step down 1,000th at a time until we just contact the metal, and you'll see the multimeter light up. It's supposed to buzz, but this meter is not very loud, so let's see what happens. Moving down. Oh, we just contacted there. You can see how the meter is making contact. We'll recheck it. We'll go down one more time. There we go. And it's down to the thousandths in measuring that. So once we've contacted the material, then we can go ahead and reset our Z, and we can remove the feeler gauge and tell Universal that we want to move down the thickness, which is 18 thousandths, and so we'll tell it in here, move down 0.018 in the negative direction, and it'll be right on our stock. So that's just an easy way, or one way, kind of unique, to do it with a multimeter.